Hello, this is Davo from the Underground Archives. Kind of giving you a brief rundown on how to navigate the site. Kind of showing off some of the new features that are on the site. Excuse me. This build took a long time to do, roughly about 4 months. The nice thing about the new site is it is completely responsive. I've changed how the navigation works so we can improve that, and it makes it much more easier to group content as we want to. On the front page, of course, you're going to see the different states. Whenever you hover over one of these, it'll open up a link to go to that particular state or location. In this case, we're going to go ahead and check out elsewhere. And while that page is loading, one of the things that most people don't understand, maybe don't completely understand, is what I mean by responsive. Responsive means that you can view this easily on any size screen. And as we get into this day and age, majority of people no longer view content on desktops. So as the screen shrinks down, things rearrange in a way where it's easy to use it on a touch screen. Just kind of give you a basic rundown on the top bar for the navigation. We have the Underground Archives logo, which will always take you to the home. State, if you click on it, will pull down a drop down that has all the different states and also tell you where you're at. At the bottom is some site-wide versions, which I'm still kind of working at because there's been some issues with them taking an extremely long time to load. One of the biggest changes is you can now add content to the site regardless of where you navigate to. You do not have to worry about being in the right place to post to make sure that it enters into the navigation structure correctly, because instead of going to the right page, for example, in the past it was like you had to pick the state, then you had to pick the region, then you had to pick the decade, and then put it in there. In this case, we're using what are called terms, taxonomy terms, which I'm probably mispronouncing as usual. My kid loves correcting me on that one all the time. Anyway, that allow us that once that tag is made in that piece of content, we can group it however we wish. About goes over some basic information about the site. Store goes to the store, which we'll probably be getting changed here soon. News will drop down and show you what the latest news is on the site. Contact opens up a contact form in which you can contact me directly by email. Help will give some of the help topics that's still in work in progress. Forums, that'll open up the forums where you can post and interact with other members. I'd like to see this grow, but it's one of those things where we'll have to just wait and see. My account, when you're signed in, you click on that and it will take you to your account page, and there you can change your profile, passwords, all that fun stuff. Mail, there's still an internal private messaging service where you can message send a message to any of the registered users and of course logged out. One of the things you'll notice is throughout the site we have this kind of grouping of hover icons and buttons. Hover icons, they open up, you click on them, and in this case it'll take you to all the projects in alphabetical order, all the contributors in alphabetical order, and all the interviews and releases that are available for this particular region, in most cases state. If you click on these buttons, you can open up all the project listings by grouped by city, type, decade, and of course alphabetical. Same thing with contributor listings. Also, once again, you can add content by clicking on these. The site heavily relies on these for navigation, and basically what they are is a view. If you click on any of these links, once the photo either rotates, moves, or in this case zooms out a little bit, and fades, it'll take you directly to that project listing. If you see these links above it, in this case it's by region, and you click on it, like for example Los Angeles, it will resort and only show those bands or projects that are listed with being active in Los Angeles. Another thing with the tagging is it allows us to add bands that were not necessarily formed in San Francisco, but at one point moved there and were pretty active to these types of listings. For example, like Stick Dog from Iowa City, they were also pretty active in San Francisco for a number of years. So they're also have a listing that is organized outside the Midwest. Let's click on Hollywood. And I think we'll do the weirdos. Some of these, and I'm still trying to figure out which is the best way to do this. Some of these will pull up this additional full page in which all the content's listed and everything. Not sure if I like these yet. Still working on it. Probably going to end up removing them for most of the views. But the cool thing about it is you can actually click and navigate through each listing that's in that category. But if you want to just go to the main page for the band or project, just click on the title. And it's going to load up the weirdos. One of those great Los Angeles bands that never got the credit they should have had. Went with a tab structure on the projects, and the reason why is if you don't do that, you end up with this content that is extremely long in length. You end up with something that all you're doing is scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. In this case, you've got, just kind of started out with, of course, you got the title of the project, this band photo, which will open up in Colorbox if you click on it. You're going to see a lot of these red links like this throughout the site. And what they are is they're actual terms that have been entered in that relate to this piece of content. For example, you have band 1970, decades, location in Hollywood, in the state as in outside the upper Midwest. If you click on those links, what it'll do is it'll open up a list of absolutely every project or listing on the site that relates to that particular term. For example, if you want to see everything that was active in the 1970s, including contributors, releases, and projects, if you click on that, it'll open them all. Then below that, we have the basic summary and then the history. If we click on the tab, you'll have contributor, and this will have all the contributors. And if you click on the title, of course, it opens the contributor pages, which are laid out similar to these. Discography, this is kind of a new thing. Each of the releases now has its own individual page in which you can add photos. There's a gallery option. If you have permission to do so, you could post all of the MP3s of that particular release. So it kind of gives you more of a way to add more information about just the releases and put them on a separate page. Audio, of course, this is still have, you can upload MP3s if you have permission to the site for play. I added Spotify because a lot of us have it. All you need to do is copy the, I believe it's the URI is what they call it, and then paste it into a field, and it will display a playlist of everything that is for that particular thing. You can also create a playlist and share it the same way. Excuse me. Video, embedded YouTube. Once again, these are all responsive. They'll go to whatever the size of the screen is. That's why they kind of look blurred out right now. Contact and sources. Here you can list just the normal information. It'll display. One thing I added was the bibliography. Instead of in the past where there was a thing at the bottom where it was just an open text form where it said sources, nobody used it. It got to be kind of complicated and kind of a problem because I'd have somebody contact me and ask me where the information came from, and I'd have absolutely no idea. So now there's a detailed form that each time the page is edited or updated, you can go to the bottom, click the add more or add another item button, and it will open up another form where you can fill out all your information and tell us where you got your information, whether it be personal knowledge or, from a website. It's nice to know where things come from in case, somebody wants to learn more. So that's about all I can show you about that. Let's go to, one thing that is missing from this listing is a gallery, but let's open up another listing and let's go to Iowa. I'm sorry, I'm from there. I have to have a little bit of pride. Show off my state, right? And the page loads. Okay. Once again, you're already familiar with the buttons. One thing I don't think I've talked about is these. These are share buttons. If you click on these, I think we know what all these icons mean. It will open up an interface where you can share this particular page onto whatever social media that you'd like. With Iowa, where there's a great deal more listings, I've divided up, thanks to the wonder of terms, bands that were primarily located in larger metropolitan areas or places that had big scenes. This is something I can do in the future in any state. It's easy to add. It's going to make things a lot easier. In the past, it meant in building an entirely new structure. It's something that's easy to add additional ones. So in this case, I put in one for Des Moines, Iowa City, Ames, Quad Cities, Cedar Falls, and of course Sioux City. Once again, the nice thing about this is you can list any city and it's free tagging. So if you have a band that's from Albert City, when you add it, you can just type in freehand Albert City and it'll show up. This, of course, is not all of the listings. It's only 40. There's close to 400, I think, in the Iowa section. But I'm going to click on the street urchins because I know they have a gallery, and I just want to show you that real quick before I get done here. And there they are in all their glamour. And loading, loading, loading. Okay. If you click on, in this case, image gallery, once the page gets done loading, spinning, I'm thinking that since I'm doing this on my Chromebook and I'm using an app that is screen capturing, that is the reason why it's taking so long. It's not my internet for once. And as soon as this loads, they're starting to load the photos below. But basically, you can navigate through using the bar at the bottom or the navigation arrows. Oh, come on, load. Will you please load? I tried doing this, skipping back and forth from... oh, there we go. You can also change how the interface looks, and you can go to expand to full screen, which will not show up on this particular type of capture. I tried doing this with multiple windows open, and it just didn't work out. So, and you can all add multiple, whatever you want on there. So, I think that's a basic rundown. I think it gives you a good idea of what's going on with the new site. If you have any questions, concerns, what have you, feel free to get a hold of me. If you get stuck on something, you're like, wow, I can't figure out how to do this. Just click on the contact up here in the upper toolbar and send me an email, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Or you can just private message me using the message app. Other than that, everyone have a lovely day, and understand that I could not have made this what it was without you guys contributing to it. So thank you for doing so, and keep it up. That's all for now.